Part two, where I go over toxic and narcissistic tendencies in relationships and mainly employed by men in relationships, and I break them down and give you some examples of how those showed up in my relationship. Projection, blame shifting, and gaslighting are all in the same family. When my partner would feel insecure or somehow fearful in the relationship, he would often project those feelings as my fault or my doing instead of taking ownership of them and getting to the root of why he was feeling that way. The biggest act of projection in my relationship was his constant efforts to sabotage the relationship. He would often cause so much drama because he wanted to break up with me or wanted to discard me or wanted to run away from a hard situation or a hard phase in our relationship, but didn't have the courage or the emotional intelligence to do it just forthrightly. And so he would often sabotage it by acting out, treating me poorly, and getting me to break up with him. And then when I would break up with him, he would turn it back on me as me being unstable and the cause of all of our breakups and chaos when he inevitably came back to the relationship. Projection showed up in little ways in my relationship as well. He often would try to drive wedges between our relationship and trying to argue reasons that we couldn't ever work as my problem, when in reality they were his insecurities. For example, he had a big insecurity about my lifestyle and the things that I like and the level of lifestyle that I'm accustomed to. I never said anything to him about that, and in fact, never put that pressure on him. But he would often use that as a reason why we couldn't be together, that I was too uppity or required too much of him in that regard. Stonewalling was by far the biggest toxic tactic that my ex would use on us, and in fact, was the demise of our relationship. It's a power move and basically a means of abandonment, emotionally and physically abandoning your partner to gain power over them and to manipulate them and put them in an unsettling state of disempowerment so that the abuser can be the one in control and pulling all of the strings. It's really, really hard for me to not think that this was absolutely deliberate on his part, because what would happen is he would drag me into these knockdown, drag out fights, most of them verbal, and get me in this loop of argument. And then right when my emotions were at their peak, he would cut me off, say he was done with the conversation, and leave. He would often say it in a way that made himself look as if he was the one being emotionally intelligent, like, I have to leave because we're obviously going nowhere in this conversation. But he would wait until emotions got so high and I felt so vulnerable, and then he would leave. In fact, the last time that we had an argument, he stonewalled me and I never came back. And we're here today, broken up because of it. I had shared with him that my core wound was being abandoned, and so he stonewalled me every chance he got to manipulate me and have power.